So a friend I've had for a long time recently responded to one of my videos with an angry face. You know, just an angry emoticon. And I said to him, "Hey, did you see what the video was about? Did you watch it?" And he said, "No, I didn't watch past this point." And it was like a minute into like a 10-minute video. And I said, "Oh, well, the video was about how important it is to not have snap judgments and react emotionally with anger. Um, it would have been maybe more useful to watch the whole thing, but I can just tell you what it was about." And, I basically explained it to him. And he didn't respond with any of his own words. He just sent me a link to some news article about how white Republicans are where all the terrorists are coming from or something. And I was like, "Okay, can you just talk to me?" This is what the whole point of the video I was making. It was about how we're not supposed to just fling links and quotes back and forth. It's much more useful to actually discuss things. And he wouldn't talk to me. He just sent me a few links, and then that was it. And that was very disappointing. And this is a friend I haven't spoken to in a while. But it made me think back to a lot of our conversations before. And, one conversation I remember having more than once was a conversation where he would accuse me of being racist because I'm white. Because I'm white. And I'd say, "No, that's actually a racist thing that you're saying to me right now. I mean, if anyone's being racist, you saying that I'm racist because I'm white, that's a racist statement." And he'd say, "No, I can't be racist because I'm black." Which isn't it's like saying I can't be racist because I'm racist. And we never got anywhere with this conversation. And, it just reminded me of the answer to a question or an observation people make a lot about me. And it's that I have a lot of anger inside me. And this is where it comes from. Not specifically this one interaction, but just a whole, 25, 30 years of this stuff. Because when a black guy says to me, and we've been really good friends for a long time, he says to me, "I can't be racist because I'm black, and you are racist because you're white." I mean, the disrespect to the people who ended slavery. You know who ended slavery? White people and black people working together. I mean, that's what it... And just taking that cooperation and just spitting on it, disregarding the whole thing. It's so disrespectful to those people who were fighting for their lives. And I don't want to get into the details, it's irrelevant. But just the idea that you can't be racist because of your race is just ludicrous. And this is the kind of stuff I was facing for most of the beginning of my life. I grew up in communist Canada, where I learned that because I'm a white male, I'm evil, and the older I get, the closer I'll be to becoming a white man, when I'll be the most evil thing ever, and any success I have is always kind of tainted with this. "Oh, well, that's easy for you because you're a white man. And, but we have to make sure you don't do too well because, you'll just end up taking over the world and hurting people." And all this garbage that made no sense. And then I went to a very left-leaning Ivy League school where I just got more of the same stuff. It was just lots of... at this school, 90% of the population was way left. And then the remaining 10% was way right. So they were just fighting with each other and becoming more and more polarized. And from one side, I'd get told that I'm racist because I'm white and I'm an evil man. And from the other side, I'd get told that I'm going to hell because I don't believe in God. And y'all just need to relax. And there's a couple other experiences. I mean, there are a lot of experiences that I could talk about right now that would sum up what I'm about to get to in a minute. But I'm just going to give one more, and it was something to do with feminism. Now, I've been accused of rape twice in my life. Both times, basically the exact same thing happened, so I only have to tell one of the stories. Basically, I met this girl, I went out on a date with her, I didn't know her that well. The date was alright. I took her back to her place, and I was going to leave, and she stood in her doorway and said, "I won't let you leave," physically blocking my way. Now, at this point, any guy will understand what I'm talking about when I say, like, worst nightmare. Because there is no circumstance in which an altercation with a woman turns out well for the man. So, I'm just like, holy bananas, I'm in trouble here. So I just walked right up to her, squeezed through, and got out the door, got to my car, and just bugged out of there. Made sure I didn't hurt her in any way. Touched her as little as possible. Anyway, so I start getting all these text messages as I'm driving. A whole like a dozen. So I pull over in a parking lot because I don't care what race, color, gender you are, don't text while you're driving. It's a stupid thing to do. So anyway, I pull over, check my text messages because there's piles of them. So it's this girl saying, "Just wanted to be clear that you could stay over." Okay, and the next one, "Just wanted to be clear that I meant you could stay overnight." The next one is, "I just wanted to make sure you understood that you could stay over and sleep over, with me." And, it's just on and on, all these messages. And, I just wanted you to know that it's not too late. You can still turn around and come back. So I just text her back. "No, I have things to do. I have to go." And I'm just thinking, I just need to placate this person and just get out of here because I do not want anything to do with that. So I go home. And the next morning I get a message on the computer from this girl. And it's, I don't remember most of it. All I remember is blah, 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 blah. "Last night when you tried to rape me, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, wait, what? And, my heart's pounding, and I'm thinking about, like, circumstances that I've known of where guys have been accused of this stuff, and it gets really bad. And this is, like, and I'm talking about people who were accused falsely, and the woman even admitted it, that she'd falsely accused him. It still turned out very bad for the guy. So I'm kind of panicking a little bit, but I'm like, okay, just think for a second. Then I remembered I've got this phone full of text messages of her asking me to come back and me saying no. So I check my phone. Okay, they're there. So I mark them as do not delete. Important. Do not lose these text messages. So I write back to her. I figured I'll give her a little bit more attention before I just get out of here. So I said, "If anyone was trying to rape anyone, you were trying to rape me because you physically tried to prevent me from leaving your apartment." And she said, "Well, that doesn't count because I'm a woman." So it doesn't count because she's a woman. Or it doesn't count because I'm black. Or it doesn't when I think about this, it brings me back to a time in my youth when I learned a very, very valuable lesson. And I was like 8 years old, maybe. And I got in a fight with Anthony at school. I remember this because of the lesson I learned. I got in a fist fight with another kid in my class out in the schoolyard. Fist fight, real fist fight. I mean, we were little kids. It wasn't that bad. But when I was in this fight, I just remember this guy's punching at me, and I'm just trying to hurt him as much as I can because I think I'm not hurting him. All I'm thinking about is the fact that he's punching at me, and I wasn't getting hurt at all. I was fine. And after the fight, someone said to me, one of our mutual friends, said, "Wow, you really beat the snot out of him." And I said, what do you mean? I barely touched him. He was hitting me." He said, no, you like really hurt him. And I mean, it wasn't really, you didn't have to go to the hospital or anything, but it was a very lopsided confrontation. And finding that out after the fact, and realizing that my perception at the time was so completely off, it just really struck me. And that's why I still remember it to this day. I remember that fight, and I remember the friend telling me this after the fact. It was because in the fight, I was the victim. I was the perpetual victim. It didn't matter what I was doing to him. All I could see was that he was attacking me, and I needed to fight back, and I had no limits, no barriers. I could do anything to this guy without anything stopping me internally. No emotional breaks. So I was just wailing on this guy, beating him up, because I thought he was just beating me up. And this is the problem with the perpetual victim. The idea of being a perpetual victim. Like when you decide that you are a feminist, and that means men are evil and women are good. Men are trying to attack women. Then you can, then it leaves you free to attack men and crap on them and treat them horribly and just over and over, and there's nothing to stop you. Or it lets you say, well, I'm a black man, so therefore I can say anything I want about a white person. It doesn't matter, because they're not understanding that they're attacking. All I can see is that they are the victim. And I mean, at first, the first thing I wanted to say to my friend is, what? Because you're black, that's your excuse to be racist? Is that all to you? Are you stupid because you're black too? Are you broke because you're black? Like, where does the excuse end? And that would have been the snap emotional reaction to this, which is not useful. I probably shouldn't even say it now, but I want to kind of illustrate the point. It's the point that I was making in the previous video and in this video, which is you have to think about situations and discuss things. Once you can connect with the other person on a level where you can understand them, you can understand their perspective, then you can have a dialogue with them. But when you are the perpetual victim, when you think that as a woman I can go out half naked, wearing my Gucci bag and my expensive jewelry, walking around in bad neighborhoods, and nothing that happens is my fault. Except something happens, and then she says, oh, men are terrible. And you say, well, why were you wearing that stuff? Why were you putting yourself in that position? And she says, well, men should be able to blah, blah, blah. They shouldn't have, they should be able to not just attack women like crazy. And that mentality is because she's just got the victim so stuck in her head that she's not realizing that for the last several years she's been doing this, walking by thousands of men who not only didn't attack her, they kept an eye on her to make sure she didn't get attacked. Because they look at her and say, most guys, most people are good. That's the thing that you lose when you become a victim. You start seeing everyone as bad. But when you realize that everyone is not bad, in fact, most people are good, you realize that most of the guys she was walking past are looking at her saying, oh, she's alone, wearing high heels, she's not going to be able to run, she's kind of in a very vulnerable position, I'm just going to keep an eye on her. Okay, she's getting upset that I'm staring at her. Sorry, ma'am, but I'm just going to try to keep an eye on you so you don't get in trouble. That's what's happening with most guys. Like the large majority. They don't want to hurt anyone, they just want to help people. The problem is, you only have to run into one psycho to be attacked. And if you're not thinking rationally, you won't see that. And you won't be able to discuss it with someone. You won't be able to have rational discussions. So it's just like my friend. He responds with this anger to a friend. We've been friends for a long time, and he just responds with anger. Because I used an example to illustrate a point where I wasn't even making I wasn't even picking, what's it called? I wasn't even choosing one side of the argument. I didn't have any strong opinion on this thing he was upset about. But just, I hit a trigger word. and he just went instant victim. And then there was no discussion. And that's where a lot of my anger came from, was growing up in this kind of environment where there is no discussion. There's no rational discourse. There's no way to work through problems. And if people could start doing that, it really would help a lot of things. Especially kids who are growing up in that environment, like I did when I was a kid. Kids see all this anger being thrown around and they think that's just what you're supposed to do. And it's not. We have all these words. We need to start using them. We have all these ideas. We need to start sharing them. So don't respond to this video with anger. I should say this part at the beginning for people who only want to watch 5% of it. Don't respond with anger. If you have something to say, just say it, discuss it. Let's talk about it. So, all right. I'm going to go do something now. I'm going to go dig some dirt.